Here we go.
Hey.
Good day. Finally.
I know, right? I keep getting interrupted every time I try to do my try to reset my password.
Yes.
My phone keeps ringing and it'll stop me. So I guess everything is just super fast. Everybody's moving super fast, but me.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like a spiritual energy because every time I try to do something, my headphones aren't working, my speakers go out, the application's not working, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's things that should normally be
You know
working.
that the well, what do they call them? Go KKK, pretty much. They're attacking towers. They're messing up cell phone towers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I had a friend, and it's kind of odd because I've been getting a lot of requests from guys that are in prison, and I got it from two guys that I know that are in prison. They sent me something that they have found, saying that they did it yesterday. I got that actually yesterday. I told you I was getting a lot of stuff yesterday, and it started to, kill me off. That I was like, it's too much. I got that thing that I sent you, and I listened to that whole thing. And when that man said, "If you don't take this shot when you cross these states, we're gonna take you and put you in Fort Riley, Kansas,"
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whoa, that hit hard because that's right. I'm right here. It's right where it is. Fort Riley is right here. I mean, I could spit, and I'm in Fort Riley,
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to Adonis when I was living even closer to Fort Riley, and he was saying that. He already said that. I guess he said, when I talked to him, he said that he sent me that about 2 years ago. So I was like, well, how can you find out how old some information is?
You got to do the research,
Okay.
see when it was
Yeah.
first broadcasted. And with now, it's a little bit harder because you got to track down the original work, Because I want to introduce you because we're doing the live, and I'm so glad that you're with me. This is Javette. Just going to do your first name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Javette.
This is my sister Javette, and today we're going to talk about being a targeted individual and gang stalking. We're going to talk about the lifestyle of a person that's been a targeted individual. Javette is also a whistleblower. And then we're going to talk about what she started out with, which is the present date of the coronavirus mandates that they're imposing on people. And, just how she's feeling about what's going on in her life right now. So if you don't mind, Sister Javette, would you tell us where this all started? What does being a targeted individual mean to you?
To me, it's like you're going crazy. It's like you're being attacked, and people, they're seeing it, but they're really not paying any attention. I've been being attacked for quite some time now, and my family and everybody is kind of looking at me like I'm crazy, like that's not happening. What you're saying is not going on. And they're just disbelief, but they see what I'm going through, but they're still in just non-belief of what I'm going through. It kind of makes you, like I said, makes you feel like you're crazy. I've been, I mean, so much, I don't even know where to start.
Give me one example of what might make a person of your intellect feel crazy.
Well, like, for instance, my son just got killed in a car accident last year. It'll be a year in June. And I was like, I was trying to get to the funeral. and everybody was looking at me like I didn't deserve to go to the funeral. Family members and friends, they seemed, I don't know why I shouldn't have been able to go to my son's funeral. It seemed like every avenue I tried to get there, everybody was just like shutting me down.
Do you drive? Or you didn't have a vehicle?
I drive. I have a vehicle, but that's another part of it. I've been selected not to have a driver's license, and they're trying to make me look crazy in that area, like I'm not supposed to be driving. And a place that doesn't have transportation, public transportation, I need to get to the grocery store. I need to get to the doctor. I need to, go be able to sustain for me and my 13-year-old son. But my family doesn't see that part. They don't understand that part. They don't understand. I mean, they're not doing anything to help me. And I can't, for some reason, keep and obtain a place to live, proper living places. I can't keep and obtain a driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It's always something knocking me down.
Mm-hmm. And then other people look at you as if you're unstable. And when you tell them there's something extracurricular going on here, something maybe even supernatural, they look at you like it reinforces the crazy thing.
Yeah, like I'm the problem. It's always I'm the problem. But then, I mean, it's been a while now. So, like over the last, probably since 2010 up to now, I've lost like 3 family members. And it's like every time a funeral comes around, it's like I can't go. Nobody wants to go bury my loved one.
Wow.
And that's
nobody will come get you.
Nobody will come get me. Nobody will take me. I always have to do like super crazy stuff. Like I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I had to drive 19 hours to get to my mother's funeral, and that was crazy. Like I shouldn't have been driving that far. When you lose a loved one, you shouldn't really have to drive. It's not wise because you're too emotional,
Mm-hmm.
and I was put in that position. Every time, like I said, since 2010, I was put in that position to have to drive myself, which I think now, and I think of how I did it, and I think that's crazy. Like, it's a wonder that I made it safely.
Mm-hmm. So you had no family support, and you're trying to get there to show your respects at a time when you're emotional, and there's mandates on you to not even be driving at times.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I wanted to talk more about, we've talked about your son before, and I thought, I felt really deeply about what happened. There were some things that you had mentioned to me that go with the targeted individual thing. There was a man that was wearing some kind of clothing or something that let you know that they were involved with your son's death. Can you...
Oh.
Yes, I know how difficult it is to tie the pieces together, so I'm just kind of helping a little bit.
Yeah, because I'm kind of everywhere.
That's okay. It happens to me. It happens to me with this all the time. So we've talked already, so I'm just going to guide just a little bit.
Good. There was, when my son got into this alleged car accident, there's a lot of stuff that's weird about the accident. I wasn't, number one, I wasn't on the, what do you call it, the obituary. They didn't include me on the obituary. Matter of fact, when I got there, my family separated themselves from me. And before I went, the clothing, that's where I was, the clothing. I had ordered something from Amazon.
Right.
A pair of shoes.
Right.
I wear a size 9, anywhere from an 8.5 to a 9. I couldn't understand when I opened this box right before I was going to this funeral to bury my son that I got a size pair of 13 shoes. My son was 6'4", and he wore 13 in shoes. And when I picked those shoes up, they were like, I looked at them, I just instantly freaked out because there was something on the shoe that made me notice that I was being mocked. I can't quite remember what it was. The simple fact that they were a size 13 shoe.
It was some kind of symbol that you told me at the time that was equated to a gang stalker situation previously.
Yeah. There was a symbol on the shoe. Oh, the peace sign. The peace sign.
Okay. The peace sign.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And where did you previously see this peace sign before when it referred to the stalkers?
I see it a lot. With my consciousness, that sign, the separation,
Mm-hmm.
that's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
I just conquer.
Right. In order to have peace, some things have to die or be moved out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that kind of freaked me out, and I had to like pull myself together and say, okay, it was just a mistake. And I called and I said, well, this isn't even the shoe that I ordered. Why did I get these size 13 shoes like right before I'm getting ready to leave to go to my son's funeral? I called them and they said, oh, you can keep them.
Wow.
You don't have to send them back, and we'll refund you your money for the shoes that you ordered.
Wow.
And it was just a pair of house shoes.
Yeah, and knowing what I know now about technology and surveillance and stuff, and some issues that I've had, with purchasing and the way that they target you with advertising, the way that you can think of something, and next thing you know, you don't even have to say it or be like looking for it yourself in a search. You can just be thinking, you know what? I want some new bras. And next thing you know, there's bras everywhere because they're using the brain reading technology, and people don't realize it. So if you're a part of a database that's actually targeting individuals, it's very easy to know your son's shoe size, and use these subliminals, because that's what they do, is trigger us through subliminal symbology and through their activities to trigger you.
It was a strong symbol. It did stumble me. I almost just wanted to just, not go. I almost didn't. When I got those shoes, it was like, I'm not going. I didn't want to go to my son's funeral, but
and
everything was
something keeps
that I.
It's strange. I keep seeing something from your story trying to keep you from paying your respects to your loved ones during the funeral rites is something very ancient. So looking at that connectivity and how family has been disconnected by this false interpretation of your mental health, because they're unaware of.
I'm completely divided from my older children. They literally wouldn't tell me where they were staying. They didn't want me there. I had children at my funeral, just didn't want to talk to me, didn't want anything to do with me, because they have made me into something that I'm not.
That's hard, and I really do understand how you feel, Sister Javette, and it's a terrible feeling, but luckily we're raising the awareness by sharing our story. And I know that it's difficult because living without being able to have other people understand what's going on is kind of shame and isolation to it, because they just don't get it, but more people are starting to get it and understand by using the map from the road before the people's like, okay, that sounds similar, or maybe even I just didn't know that was happening, and to become aware of it if it's not happening to them. I want to go into talking more about your children and the story about your daughter.
Oh, yeah.
She was kidnapped. That's an amazing story.
Yeah, I have two children that are close to me. They stay by my side. But when I went to bury my mother in California, um, when I got back, first of all, when I left, I let all the institutions know that I would be traveling. I let the bank know. My son is autistic. He gets disability. I let them know because there was going to be a lot of transactions going west. So they needed to know that that's where I was going. I had a brand new car that year. I let them know I was behind in car payments with that. And I let them know that the car, because they could have turned the car off if they would have thought that I was trying to take it on the way to Los Angeles. But they didn't, because I had contacted them. When I got there and I made it to the funeral, all kinds of things kind of like just didn't make sense. Just like when I got to my son's funeral, it didn't make any sense why anybody didn't want to talk to me. I was like the black sheep. Nobody said anything to me. So I made it there, but after the funeral, my daughter had kind of just got into some trouble and kind of made me have to stay there a little longer. So I stayed with my nephew also, who died a couple years after the funeral, and I buried my mom. But
It's okay.
it ended up here where I was in Kansas. I went to stay with some family members in Santa Monica, and I took the sister-in-law to a doctor's appointment. And then when I took her to this clinic, I thought, well, let me go to Target because it's a little shopping area here, and I'm going to go buy some Pampers for my son because he was still kind of young, the youngest one. And came out, my car was gone.
Wow.
And it was like I just looked and I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked. I went into this complete circle. It was just like, then I looked at myself and my son standing there, and I thought, Twilight Zone shit, right? I jumped somewhere else. I'm somewhere else. Like, where am I now? And so finally I had to pull myself together and say, my vehicle is gone. So I thought someone had probably stole it, but that wasn't the case. Somehow, and then I got a blank from there how I got around. I don't even know how I got around from there.
Why did they take? Why was the car gone?
It ended up that the car was gone. I called the company and asked them, did you repo my vehicle while I was in California, knowing that I was behind on my payments and everything? And they looked and they said, repo your car. They said, no, you called and told us that you were going to California. I said, well, my vehicle is gone. And so they said, well, hold on. And, they said, we're going to call you back. So they called me back. And they said that my family member, which is one of my brothers, had called the car in on a repo.
What?
So that the car wasn't paid for. Yeah. That's what the dealer told me. The people who, I had the car financed through and everything. They said that it appears that two people called the car in as a repo, and so they got a reward for turning the car in, because I had told them I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't leave my kids here. I gotta, they were like, well, just fly down here. We'll pay you a ticket and you just fly back. Well, all of that was to keep me all messed up so that they could take everything. They didn't want to, split the pot. My mother wanted us all to be able to go to the home and it just be a family home where everybody would, be able to come and visit and stay. The house is very old. It's in a very old district of Los Angeles, like my great-great-grandfather's home. It's a very nice house, and it's close to UCLA and everything. So it has a nice value on it. Um, so that was what that was about. It was all about greed and taking everything. And then I ended up staying with my nephew, and I had to. Oh, my little money that I got also, the bank shut me off. The bank shut me off. I'm in Los Angeles. I went there and told them, and they shut all finances that I had, and anything to help me, move around had got taken when I was out there.
In Los
Okay,
Angeles.
so yeah,
Wow.
I lost everything. When I got back, I really didn't have a place to live. Mail was withheld. They wouldn't give me my mail at the post office. My daughter, she finally got her back, and we ended up taking a bus back. Very interesting. I had to borrow money from people, and
Oh yeah. How did you get your daughter back? You didn't tell me. You didn't tell them about what happened. Your daughter was kidnapped, or ended up in some.
when we got back, that's where I was going. When we got back, my daughter, she had her place, but they stopped and cut her from getting into her place. They stopped and cut me from my place, so we were like kind of homeless for a minute, and then I didn't have any money, because all my money was stopped. I had to get everything started back up, and a trip that should have taken maybe a week or two ended up taking up a month or so, 2 months, because of the nature of it. Like my family members, they were not willing to help. My daughter had got into some trouble out there and had to wait for her to get out of jail. Blah blah blah. But when we got back, she ended up. She had dropped out of high school in 11th grade or 12th grade, and she was going to go back to school. She said, "I'm going back to school," and she did this homeless. She went back and got her. I thought she was going to get her GED, but she got her full equivalent high school diploma, and I was just so proud of her. She did that homeless. I mean, just sleeping couch to couch.
Wow.
Yeah, and she said, I'm doing this for my grandma because grandma always said, if you do anything, at least just get your high school diploma. That would mean so much to me. So she honored that, knowing that she lost her grandmother. And so shortly when we got back, after that, she ended up getting into meeting people, and I saw this person, and I told her, I said, stay away from that person, because I could see right through that person, okay? And she ended up getting into dealing with this person, and this person had something to do with my daughter's kidnapping. So she thought just going to Minnesota and coming back. The guy got her there and put her into sexual trafficking. He was trafficking her, and people think, well, that's all you have to do is just call. Well, she was not calling me. I even went. I didn't know what happened. I didn't have any contact with her for probably about 2 or 3 years after that. And I went to try to go report her as missing. They wouldn't let me report that my child was missing. They were like, well, she's an adult. And I was just like, I don't care if she is adult. She's still my child, and I haven't heard from her. She's missing.
Right. When melanated folks go and report their children missing, they tell them, oh, they just left. They're living their best life or whatever. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you tell them, I know my child better than you, and my child stays in contact with me, they don't want to hear it. They want to use the TV idea of us.
Keep this out being. I mean, I had a teacher that I had to get on. Well, he wasn't a teacher. He was the damn president of the principal of the school. Tell her, she came home from school one day and she said, Mom, what's promiscuous? I said, what? I said, where'd you get that word from? She said, what's promiscuous, Mom? I said, where did you get that from? She said, they told me that I was being promiscuous in school. And I said, they who? She said, the principal.
Wow. I know that
word.
I
had to go check the school because before she got into that story about being promiscuous when she was, probably 12, I went to the school to handle somebody's parent, some little white person's father came up there because she said my daughter was bullying her. So they allowed her father to sit there and talk to my daughter any kind of way, try to scare her, but she don't have no fear. She's my child, you know. She's not scared. So I had to go up there and check them on that. I said, you don't let any adult talk to my child while I'm not around.
Right.
Somebody's parent. You know, and then I got in, the principal didn't know that I knew about the promiscuous thing, and so I checked him on that. I was like, that's not what we're trying to teach our children. She doesn't need to know anything about promiscuity. But because she was developing quicker, you know, the boys were like flies on honey. And I had to tell her, you know, like, this is what they do because they want to make you feel bad because they want to do what they want to do. But you have to watch stuff like that, you know. Well, that's a lesson that we have to learn.
So
if your parents can teach you that. So, but after probably about 3 years, she finally contacted me and let me know where she was. And what ended up happening with the guy that took her there, she said he was on the bus. They were on the bus in that city, and he stabbed someone on the bus and ended up going to prison. He did some time in prison for that. And so she was, like, just there, you know. And finally, I mean, I would get all kinds of calls in the middle of the night. My son, he's my younger son, he was probably about 4 or 5, and he would wake up to the calls in the middle of the night of her crying or, you know, going through something. I would hear her getting in fights and all kinds of stuff. It just drove me crazy, and I didn't have any way to go get her because my car had got repoed. It took me a long time to get transportation again. And so finally I got up on my feet, and I got a call that she had got hit by a car. And she had even homeless there, you know, in Minnesota, managed to graduate from massage therapy school, homeless, living off the street. I would hear her waking up in the morning, sleep in park benches, and, you know, literally living on the street. It was just heartbreaking. You know, I said, you don't have to do that. She said, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. She kept insisting that she's going to make it, and she's going to come back, you know, after she gets up on her feet and get her education. And, you know, just listening to that old stuff about, you know, school and it'll make your life better, and that's not necessarily true anyway. You know, you're already better. You have everything that you need. That's one of the blinders that they put on you, you know. But at any point, I finally was able to rent a car and go get her, and I brought her back, and they had fines and stuff on her for assault, robbery. They put all kinds of stuff on her for garbage. I mean, it was nothing. The place that she stayed in, she went into a vacant trailer, and they put that she's probably 100 pounds soaking wet. Put that she stole a refrigerator out of her trailer on her, and she was trying to get money so she could pay that fine. That's why she stayed up in Minnesota so long. She's like, I'm going to get money, and I'm going to pay that fine. They had put her, you know, under the bus when we got back from Los Angeles. So she thought, well, I'll just, you know, I can't get a job here. Let me, you know, I'll just, you know, stay up here and, you know, try to get some money. But it didn't work out like that. I ended up bringing her back. I went and got her, probably after about 5 years, you know. And when she got hit by that car, I said, that's it, because she was trying to start. She was maintaining doing massage therapy. She was able to keep her place, but she couldn't walk. She couldn't get to work. Then that put her back out on the street again. So I said, I got to go get her. So I went and got her, and it's kind of funny. She got strong. She got a job. We were maintaining, and all of a sudden, here comes the police. Well, we're looking for Tiara, and I was just like, she's not here. And they said, we'd like to talk to her about her kidnapping, when she got kidnapped. I said, well, what's going on? Well, of course, Becky got taken. So now they want to know if the same person that took her took Becky, All of a sudden, it's a concern. I said, you weren't concerned when I was trying to tell you that my daughter was missing. But now that this little white girl is missing, now you want to talk to Tiara? I said, fuck you. And my daughter's going to tell you the same thing. She's not going to talk to you. She don't have anything to say. She went to the court. In the court, she tried to get everything dismissed and told them what happened to her. They said, fuck you. You're still going to give us $4,000 or $5,000.
Wow.
For stealing a refrigerator.
Wow.
They took that money, and she even wrote the judge and tried to tell the judge, this is why I was gone. I got kidnapped. I thought I was just going out of town and coming right back. But this guy kidnapped me, and I ended up in a space, and, she tried to fix it herself. She did try to fix it, but it was at a horrible, horrible price.
Right, and then you weren't able to help because of the situation you were in.
Yeah, my hands were tied. I was here with my son who was autistic. And even with him, I sent them to kindergarten, and with autistic kids, they have what you call a shadow that stays with them. They're never without someone. I sent him to school one day. I had to move, and I got thrown into this place, and he needed to go to school, so I sent him to school. One day, he has long hair. We tried to put the clippers to his head, but he don't like the sound or the feel of it, so we can't cut his hair. So it's long. It was long, and I usually kept it braided, but this particular day, I was sick. I couldn't braid it. And I sent him to school throwed out, and I thought, well, they are to be used to his hair. It shouldn't be a problem. How come my baby came home screaming and crying, I don't want my hair cut, I don't want my hair cut. And, family members were over that day, and they said, why did you cut his hair? I said, I didn't cut his hair. Well, I noticed it was up in this ponytail. They had put it in a rubber band. Then finally I thought about it, and I looked at his hair, and I put my hands in it, and I was like, my son's hair has been cut. They traumatized my son. They cut his hair.
Without your permission.
They were just attacking me and my children. They were attacking us at every angle. And there was nothing I could do. Because
everything looks normal, right?
Huh?
Everything looks normal, business as usual. It's just stuff that happens.
Yeah. They wouldn't let me, report. Finally, it took him, with his autism, he's pretty high functioning, but, when something happens, he's not going to be able to tell you immediately. It's going to take a while for him to get out everything. And then, probably about a week, it took a whole week for me to say, you need to tell me if somebody did something. I said, I do your hair. I know your hair has been cut. Who did this? And finally, probably about a week, he told me that the lady that had the position over the special needs children, she was the one that did it. She cut his hair, and she was getting her, what do you call it when you're trying to graduate?
Doctorates? Doctorates or masters? PhD?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's trying to get her high degree, so she was working in that field. And, she told him, don't tell is the secret.
Wow.
It took me a whole to get that out of him. And I went up to the school and I had a whole conversation with them to let them know that I know you can't tell me that it hasn't been cut, but I know because I'm a cosmetologist, I know cut hair from hair that's cut. This is my child. I know that his hair hasn't been cut. What's the big deal? It's just hair. It'll go back.
She had no business touching his hair.
You're violating a baby. Well, he needs to cut it anyway. I said, what do you mean he needs to cut it? Well, it's a distraction. I said, to who? I said, he was born with this hair. Right? Why is something that you're born with? Do you cut your fingers off because they're in the way? That's what I asked him. I said, I'm not happy with this. I went up there and I made a complaint. So one day I just popped up on him, and I looked, and he was still coming home nervous and scared. And they still had him with that woman. Now, when things happen like that, you're supposed to separate people. And I said, no, I just walked in there, and you used to could just walk in the school, but after that, they put locks on the doors, and you have to buzz to get in.
Wow.
When I walked in there, looked at that woman, I said, she said, well, I didn't do anything to him. I said, God knows. God knows what happened. And I left it at that, and I said, you get away from my son. And I mean it. And she was shaking, and the teachers, oh, Mr. Campbell, we're sorry. I said, well, you know the procedure when you have a problem with two people in a business setting. You separate. That's what you do. You don't put my child back in this woman's hands. And I tried to make a police report, and I asked them to make her. I said, he already said she did it. She cut his hair and told him not to tell. But they're not going to take a child's word,
especially an autistic child over.
Yeah.
And then she's going for her PhD. His hair was cut.
Yeah.
He comes home traumatized. You see the hair is cut. She admits the hair is cut, and there's nothing that you can do about separating her from your child because she's getting her PhD.
Oh, no, she didn't admit she did it. She never admitted. She said, I didn't do it.
Your son said she did it.
My son said she did it, yeah. She never admitted.
Okay.
But finally they separated her, and they gave him somebody else that wasn't wasn't as high in her credibility as getting her degrees, but she still, however, worked very well with them.
So
and
he was fine after that?
Home. Huh?
Was he fine after that?
No, he came along. It took a minute. He came along, and where I was living, he had to be bused probably about 14, 15 miles away from me to school, and that was, I was sick to my stomach because I couldn't get to him if something happened. When he was getting sick, they would have to bring him home, and I thought about how many times that woman brought him home for school. He would throw up, and if he threw up, then they would take him, and they said, well, you have to come get him. I don't have transportation. You're going to have to get him to me, And the that would cut his hair, she would, when I met her, I knew, like I said, I could see things. I knew it was not right with that woman, But, so yeah, well, here we are now. We're 13 years old. He's 13 years old. My daughter is 30. She's still here. She's had a set of twins. That was traumatizing. One of the twins didn't make it. And my experience at the hospital is another story.
Go ahead, tell it.
Well, first of all, she only carried them into her 5th month, and she's looking at me like, I'm not going to the hospital, Mom. You're going to deliver the baby. And I'm looking at her like, well, okay, you know. I hope she makes it to term, but she didn't make it to term.
That's
so
terrifying.
No, I'm not doing that. And I looked, she said, Mom, you know, look, and I'm leaking. I just, leaking what? And I said, oh my goodness. And I looked, and it looked like a little foot.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, oh no, we're going to the hospital. And this time I had managed to get a vehicle. However, I didn't have any driver's license. So I was creeping around. I took it to the hospital, and they're looking, and the doctor is like, well, why haven't you been going to the doctor? Well, they wouldn't help her with medical or food assistance or anything at this time. So I was feeding, clothing, housing my daughter and my son and myself off of a very small income. And I couldn't understand why they wouldn't help her, you know. Well, anyway, we didn't go to the doctor. We went a couple of times to check. We knew that we were pregnant. We knew that we were having a baby. But we go into labor at, probably at our 5th month. How many weeks is that, Regina? I can't imagine. But the doctors was like looking at her like, okay, you should have been getting, you know, some kind of prenatal care. And she was like, look, she said, I don't even want to be here. I don't even want you to touch my kids, you know. And she said, kids? And I said, yes, she's having twins. And they said, well, she hasn't been to the doctor. How do you know she's having twins? I said, because I'm her mother. I said, I know that she's having twins. And they said, well, that's impossible. You know, how could you know that? I said, well, they checked, and they didn't see anything. They didn't see the twins.
Oh, wow.
But,
I said, oh, wow.
yeah, they did the, you know, the, what's that when they put the,
stethoscope, yeah.
Yeah, they're looking for the heartbeat or...
The ultrasonic thing, yeah.
Yeah, the ultrasound, yeah. They did that, and, you know, they were looking, they was like, well, no, I don't see anything. And I was like, okay, so... Well, they said, well, we're going to have to do a cesarean. It's going to have to be an emergency. Clearly, the baby is, you know, under duress. The heartbeat is, like, you know, stressing. So I told her, I said, well, you got to go through this. I said, you got to do this. She started crying, and I was like, oh, well, you know. I said, I would have been there to have the babies out of you. Like, that's just too much. So she said, okay. We agreed. And I got her calmed down. I said, give her something. To, you know, first we thought she was going to be able to stay awake, but she couldn't. I'm in there, they've got this pop up. Well, what's the point of me being in there if I don't get to see? Well, I guess they didn't want me to see the whole procedure of her getting cut or whatever. And then all of a sudden the doctor starts screaming, oh no, she said, it's two.
Wow.
And I was like, what? It's 2 babies? And there's this big nurse and this guy, and he could see over that curtain that they had up. And so I'm holding my daughter's hand, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's 2, like I said, you know.
Yeah.
It's 2 babies, they weren't expecting it. And then all of a sudden, they go, and, you know, she gets the babies out, and you don't hear anything. So all of a sudden, there's, and I'm wondering why she's screaming, there's 2, you know, why is she screaming this, you know? And then all of a sudden, it got really kind of quiet, and my daughter just passed out. She said 2 babies. At this point, she's just knocked out. So I still don't hear any crying from either of the babies. And the male nurse kind of passed me on the back, and I said, is it 2? Is it 2? And then he shook his head. He said no. Lived probably for a little bit. The girl didn't make it, which they thought was kind of odd because the girl usually is stronger than the boy, the girl boy.
Wow.
And but the doctor is screaming, you know, at the time of her death, dead baby. And my daughter could hear this, and at this point, she just let go of my hand.
Oh my gosh.
Done. Why is she screaming, dead baby, dead baby? I never could have figured that out. She didn't have to say that. Everybody could see. All the people the team that was in there helping her, there's another doctor in there. And this is the tip of it, though. The baby came and they got the preemie. She told them she wanted all the umbilical cord. Of course, they kept it. That was the problem. But this part. So she had a cyst also, and she was told not to deal with the cyst until after, her having the baby and everything. The doctor, I go to check on the baby for a little bit, and I come back into the operating room because they're getting her all stitched up and everything. The doctor, we told her that there was a cyst down there, but don't mess with it. The doctor jumps up off the floor, the one that hollers dead baby.
Oh, wow.
Jumps up off the floor, jumps up on top of her stomach, and starts pushing at the cyst. Jumps on the table, the operating table.
There's some weird stuff here.
That's some weird shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there and I'm looking like, I told her, I said, what are you doing?
So first of all, they didn't see the baby that you told them about and looked at you like you were crazy. Now they see the baby, they're cutting on her and stuff. They see the baby, and now they're trying to push the extra material and stuff out of her tummy, and she's traumatized. They traumatized, and you guys watching.
Yep.
What?
Yep. She's pushing on this. Well, she wasn't pushing. She couldn't push on her stomach. She was pushing on her uterus, trying to push the cyst like a pimple. She was trying to pop it, Yeah, right. She was trying to, and we already told her don't mess with the cyst. They saw it. We agreed that you're not going to touch it until after she heals and everything.
Right.
Don't mess with that. Just let her get those babies out and let her heal a little bit better from the incision, from the baby being born, the circumcision. And
they put her through more trauma.
I said, get your ass off my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Get off of her. I said, we agreed that you weren't going to mess with this. I'm pushing the cyst, but why are you on the table, the operating table?
Wow.
She was standing on top of the operating table, pushing on a cyst. You weren't supposed to be pushing on the incision. You couldn't do that. Just stitched her up.
That's a doctor. Okay, so now we have the legal department, we have the medical department in your story. And we have the child that passed away. I'm sorry for your loss. I told you that before. Yeah. This is a crazy story.
But, I mean, even when we went to, they had to take them, far away, probably about 3 hours, 2 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
They took them 2 hours away. So he had to stay in the NICU for, 4 months.
Okay.
They kept him up there 4 months.
Right, because he was 5 months.
They tried to kill her while she was up there. They tried to kill her.
What did they do? What they do is to give her medications that weren't appropriate or something?
Well, she was insisting on staying up there, so they let her stay. I took her up there where he was.
Okay.
So no, I'm going to, and I noticed a lot of babies that were in there, the parents weren't there. A lot of them didn't even go to go see about their babies.
Mm-hmm.
They're experimenting on those babies. They were trying to do it to my grandson. And a lot of times I had to stop them.
They were trying to do what?
They were experimenting.
Oh, experimenting. Okay. So
on the preemie. Yeah, experimenting on the preemie. Yeah.
Well, they sound totally unprofessional. It sounds like a nightmare hospital or some freak movie from the description, and it's just awful.
All of it was. I mean, she was at a whole nother hospital than where she delivered from. The preemie couldn't stay in the hospital where she delivered from because they couldn't take care of Regina.
For 4 months,
She had to go,
even. Right,
yes,
okay.
Farther out.
Okay.
You know? So she's in a whole nother hospital at this point, and she's still, still freshly open. She still had her cesarean, and it ended up that it got infected. Her cesarean got infected. They had to do an emergency open up on her again.
While in their care? She's infected while in their care.
She was in the hospital with the preemie.
Uh-huh.
She was out of the other hospital, the hospital where she delivered.
But she was still under medical care.
Yeah, she was. Well, they weren't supposed to be caring for her, but it ended up where they had to.
Oh,
where
okay.
The preemie was.
Okay.
Yeah, they had to because she got sick. She got real sick. She got high fever. So she was getting poisoned, and I thought it was because the doctor that delivered had pushed the cyst.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's infection.
She has additional trauma to the body. She's wide open, and now she's got poison in it.
The bloodstream.
Okay.
Exactly. So the doctor, she started it, but when she went up to the other hospital, after she had the baby, she was, functioning. She was okay, but she still needed to heal. So she was up there with the baby, and she ended up getting that infection in her body, and she started getting sick. So she told them, and they're looking at her, and they're saying, "Oh no, this is infected." So they had this new machine that they put in her. Well, she didn't tell me this. At this point, she was just being a big girl again, and I didn't know what was going on. And she didn't tell me that she had to go back into surgery and get opened back up, and they had put this thing in her, and they left the womb open, and stuck this tube in her, and the thing was
what? Oh my goodness! To drain it out.
It's a whole other hospital.
The
thing was sucking the infection out of her. Well, she told him, "Give me some antibiotics, and I'm strong. I'll be okay." And so that was after the baby, but she ended up getting an infection anyway. So she's at this other hospital, and so I'm talking to her one day, and I'm like, she's like just groggy. I'm not even talking like clear, and I can't understand what she's saying. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, what is wrong with you? And I'm getting it out of her. It took me a whole day. I talked to my daughter I woke up about 7 o'clock. I didn't get everything out of her until about 5. Okay, she's in pain. They opened her up. It took me from 7 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon to figure out exactly what was going on with her because she couldn't really talk. She was in so much pain. She said, "Mom, I'm in so much pain. I'm in pain." I said, "Well, is anybody coming in there to check on you?" I said, "As soon as somebody gets in there." Well, 5 o'clock, the shift changed.
And so,
nurses are coming. She's in pain. From 7 to 5, nobody is coming to check on her. She's opened up with this machine in her. I said, "Somebody come in yet?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "Put them on the phone." I said, "My daughter has been on the phone with me ever since 7 o'clock this morning, screaming as loud as she could because she was weak. She couldn't scream. She's like, And I said, "You're in pain?" She said, "Yeah, a lot, Mom. It hurts really bad." Like I said, it took me a long time to figure out what she was going through. And I realized, okay, they opened her up. She's got this machine in her. Nobody's coming to check on her. She's in pain. I said, "What is that machine that's in her?" I asked him about the machine. I said, "Take it off." I said, "Take that machine out of my daughter right now." I said, "Matter of fact, go get the head nurse." I said, "What's the procedure after a surgery? Don't you get painkillers?" She said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "Why is it nobody has given my daughter any pain medication?" I've been on the phone ever since 7 o'clock this morning
This is
with her.
ridiculous.
Like black women don't. We have.
I've been in a situation where not only have I been treated badly and I'm traumatized and don't want to go to the medical profession due to my personal experiences. They can't just eradicate your own personal experiences. But I have also been in a situation where I wanted to help my daughter, and she was in their care, and there's nothing I can do about it. And you watching them treat your loved one like a freaking rag doll. So I really do sympathize. I know what that feels like, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were going through. I was going through it with her, with the baby, and I mean, the people that were there, they were really impressed with my daughter because they said women don't usually do this when they have babies like this. She sat there. She did not leave. She sat there by her baby's side.
Mm-hmm.
She told them when they could do what. I mean, when she felt like something was too much, she told them, "You put this in writing. I told you not to do this. You put this in writing. If something happens to my child, I have this documentation that I told you not to do that."
Mm-hmm.
She kept telling her, stand up to him.
You see, she's trying to save her other baby's life, it seemed like.
Yeah, they were like probing at his eyes, and I was like, babies don't see immediately when they come out. Like, leave his eyes alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of nice because she would say, Mom, he won't open his eyes. He won't open his eyes. I'm in here, and he says the only time he'll open his eyes is when he hears your voice. When I walked in there to see the baby, he would open his eyes. When he heard my voice, he would open his eyes. And it's like that to this day. He could be asleep, and if I go over there and I go see him and he hears my voice, he's going to wake up. He's going to wake up. He's going to wake up and see his granny, so. But at any rate, that was horrific, being in the doctor's care and watching her go through all those things. And then I had called a good friend of mine, Adonis, and I told him about the machine that they put in her.
Mm-hmm.
And he researched, and he found something on the news. And I told them this, too. I said, it's on the news. That machine is killing people.
What?
Or have died from that machine that you're sticking in there to pull out infection.
Brother Adonis will find some stuff, boy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Adonis, he said no, because he was there with me, all the time. I was talking to him on the phone. He was like, so no, and I was like, you're right. I said, I don't know what that machine is.
Mm-hmm.
And she got stronger, and they gave her pain medications. She was able to talk for herself again.
They be after our babies. They be trying to take them babies and get rid of the parents. And on the future, I want to do a reading of your birth date, your daughter, your autistic son, and the grandbaby. So I can give you,
great.
So we can see energetically what's going on there, what we're looking at too. What are they looking at? Why they're after you from a spiritual perspective? We're going to look at.
That would be magnificent.
Okay. And I want to also do this before we tell one last story, which is this is the part that brings it all together. Is going to be your story and how this all started with the judge. But before that, I want to remind our viewers that are listening that these are melanated folks, y'all. You're not listening to a drama from some, from some movie with some white folks on it. With all these stories I always saw, even if you take each one of Sister Javette's stories individually and make a little drama series out of it with white people, you know what I'm saying? It's still, each story is so touching, and they make these little series and stuff out of it. And I never saw us and these stories, of this government conspiracy, you know what I'm saying, and the dramas and stuff that they do. But it is us, and that's the face I want to paint on it to make our people aware, is that this stuff is happening to us, and a lot of us don't even know it. We've normalized our trauma. Some of this stuff looks normal and is happening to you, but you are actually a targeted individual. You're being human trafficked. You're being slowed down so that you can't contribute to society. Perhaps you're a whistleblower. You're being put in a position where you can't make trouble, where you can't speak out. Sister Javette and I had such difficulties trying to get online to even give you this conversation, which is the reason why I'm using the telephone and a tape player instead of doing a live visual. But for 2 days...
It's still getting done, though.
Yes.
I really appreciate you, Regina. I really do. Even being able to talk about it is a healing process. Sometimes I look back and I'm just like, I went through that. I'll repeat this story, and I'm still missing some stuff. And my stuff is still missing. It's just so much.
So we're about to tell another part, which is the last part that I would like to share with our viewers for today. And this part is the linchpin. You had an issue with being mistreated, and you stood up for yourself. Can you tell us about the situation with the judge? How did that start?
Oh, yes. In 1995, and this is what they keep telling me when they stop me about my driver's license. And I said, well, I play dumb and say, well, what's going on? I thought I had a driver's license. They'll say, oh, something that happened in 1995. Here now, I just got stopped probably this month for speeding, which I wasn't speeding, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that part. Anything to stop me because they don't want me driving.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want me to be able to sustain.
Right, you can't get around. Quiet. You're isolated more.
Yeah, I mean, Regina, this is the funny part.
I've been isolated too, so I know.
I kind of have a email account, but it only works when they want it to work. They let it work for me, okay?
Yeah.
I called Google one time, literally, and I kept making these emails. All my kids, Mom, how come you don't, your email address, you need an email address, and they would make me one. And I would try to use the email address, and every time I would try to use the email address, they said, this email address does not exist.
Whoa.
It just doesn't exist. And so finally I got pissed, and I said, I'm tired of making email addresses. Like, I've been doing this. I've had other people make me, and they're like, well, and that's, everybody would be like, that's weird. I made that email address for you, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I said, you try to make it work. And they would get the thing after a while, right?
Yeah.
They're like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Even the school.
Right.
You have to enroll the kids in school through email, and they made me an email address, and when they made me an email address and I tried to use it again, they were like, that's crazy, we just made that email address.
That's a form of the cyber terrorism and the technology they have to be able to cut you off. I've literally tried to call people from just to talk with them and reach out and, share my life with other people and not be so isolated. Picked up the phone, called them, and had the call just drop. Have my phone calls keep dropping until I finally give up. Takes so long to make a call to even get it to ring. An abnormal amount of time just to get it to ring, like it's being relayed somewhere else before.
They must be on vacation right now because we're getting it in, sister.
Yeah, but we couldn't use the laptop, and for 2 days I've been trying to get that live Google Hangouts to work, or my screen share, and the Facebook thing, or the Messenger, just different things I was trying, and every time I got to you.
I don't know if it's my son that's messing with it, or is it just Google, because I called Google, Regina. I just got so mad, and I got this lady one time, and she said, well, let me see, and she looked, and she typed in something, and it took her a while. She said, hold on. It took her a good hour and a half. She said, are you still there? And I said, yeah. She said, okay, I'm searching, I'm looking.
An hour and a half later.
And she kept looking, and finally she came back. She said, you still there? And I said, yes, I am. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. She said, it appears to me, this is what she said.
Okay.
Someone is paying for your name not to be used on the internet.
What?
Mess me up.
All right, Javette, tell us about the judge. Tell us about the judge.
The judge in 1995, probably 19. It started in 93. He started summoning me to appear to jury duty.
Okay.
And over a period of time, I'm single. I'm left behind. My children's father decided to just desert us.
Mm-hmm.
So I take, the older ones and I put them with other family members, and I take the two smaller ones so I
Okay.
could, pull myself together.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I have a little bit of school and everything, and I ended up coming up for jury duty because I had a little bit of education.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I kept telling them, hey, I can't do jury duty. And he would make me come anyway, try to
Okay.
say that I can't do it. And he said, basically, he got pissed and he said, you going to do it, And so it was probably over between that little time period, it's probably about 4 contempts where I was sent mail to come to do jury duty, and I didn't. Okay, one of those times, I remember I did show up, but I was late, and I was dating a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
The white guy was making sure that I was going to get there, and but I didn't get there. And he says, "Well, we're late." But he said, go pick up the check anyway. It was like a $10 check. It wasn't even enough to pay daycare for two small kids,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I picked the check up, and we, went and cashed it and had lunch. So the judge sends something out and says, well, you were not in jury duty. I want you to give that money back. So I said, okay. I keep telling you I can't do this. Because I had arranged for somebody to keep them, but I couldn't afford to pay them,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it over a period of time, I think 2 times, I was home in Los Angeles. One of the times, it's still to this day, was marked as one of the coldest winters in Kansas at that time. I walked in the coldest winter in sleet, snow, to the courthouse with my children in a stroller. I cannot do jury duty. He said, don't you ever bring your kids into my courtroom again. I said, well, you told me to show up. I'm here, and I'm telling you I can't do this.
Okay.
I don't have transportation, for one. Number 2, I don't have money for childcare to sit on a jury duty thing. Well, sometimes when women have children, they get depressed. So I was, what's that called when you get depressed, Regina, after you
Postpartum depression. Postpartum depression.
Yeah, that part.
Mm-hmm.
I had postpartum real bad, and I was on medication. I should have told him that, because I wouldn't have been able to stay awoke. I was on medication that made me sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I didn't think to say that, you know what I'm saying? I just, I'm going through the motions, just like, oh, he's going to release me from this stuff. Like, this is stupid. Jury duty. You can find anybody to do jury duty.
Right.
You have to pick on me.
Right.
So 95 came by, and I remember sitting in a donut shop watching O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown case. And I was the only black person in there, and all these white people throwing coffee and donuts everywhere, hollering racial slurs, screaming, fucking nigger.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm like, looking like, don't y'all see me right here? Like, can I get a little
Where were you? Colorado?
No, Kansas.
Kansas, okay.
Kansas.
You, okay.
Kansas. Judge Platt.
Hee-haw, okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking, and I go home, and I come back. I go back. I end up being picked up. I went to California to bury a brother, and I came back, and they picked me up at my house. Police came, knocked on the door, handcuffed me to the back, took my kids. My kids are crying.
Mm-mm.
And I go to jail, and the next morning I wake up, I go see the judge, and there's nobody in the courtroom but me and the judge.
Mm.
And the judge tells me, I'm giving you 3 years in the county for failure to appear to jury duty. I said, well, I didn't
What?
get any of your questions. Yeah. Nobody else is in the courtroom. Just like nobody else is here but me and you. We're talking.
Yep.
Right? That's how it was in the courtroom.
Okay. Totally violation.
Total violation of my civil rights.
Right.
So
the ones that are supposed to exist that they don't give us because we're only 3/4 or 3/5 under the law, but that's another story. What happens?
Yeah.
What happens after that?
So I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, my family is like, you know, she didn't mess up. You know, she's such trouble. I'm always trouble. I've always been a witch. I've always been trouble. You know, nobody understood me. So I'm sitting in jail, and I'm like, okay, what you gonna do? You know, they gave me one pencil, one envelope, and one stamp, and a piece of paper. So I said, I'm gonna take this, and I'm going to write the Supreme Court of Kansas.
What?
And I'm gonna tell. Yes, ma'am. That's what I did.
Can you say that again for our other melanated sisters and brothers, Sister Javette? What did you do?
I took that one piece of paper, that one envelope, and that one stamp because I was indigent. I didn't have any money. And I wrote to the Supreme Court what was going on with me in detail.
Mm-hmm.
So the judge ended up I was going for my final arraignment, and so he gave me this fake lawyer to call after he told me he was going to give me 3 years in jail. And the Supreme Court got my letter, so the Supreme Court said, well, when's your next court date? I gave them my next court date, and they said, we'll be there. So they walked in when I was going before him again so he could give me my sentence, my for sure sentence. And my fake lawyer stood up and he said, where the hell did they come from? I said, you're fired. I got me another lawyer. Move around. So my lawyer comes up and he says, yes, I'm getting ready to take care of this. And so the Supreme Court asked the judge, like, we want to see your findings and we want to see your files, and all of this is on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
If you type my name, you'll see it.
Okay.
If you type in Javette Campbell versus the state of Kansas, you'll see it.
Javette has given her full name to the audience. Look up that case, y'all.
Javette Campbell versus the state of Kansas. David R. Platt Jr.
Hello.
That's his name. That's his name. And so he goes and he's talking to the Supreme Court lawyer like he's the boss, you know, and he let him know that you're not, you know, I'm here. So this stuff ends up being on the radio, on the news in '95.
Okay.
That me being violated, you know, and I ended up taking it to the Supreme Court and everything, but that was weird because my family didn't want anything to do with it. I had to go probably an hour away from where I live. I didn't have transportation still. And I was like, I got to get to court. This is important. I can't miss this.
So then they knew you hadn't done anything wrong, and they're still not helping you to handle your business at all. No support.
No support.
Okay.
No support. My family member told me, as a matter of fact, I can't take you. You need to find someone else to take you. So finally, I had a cousin that works in the capital of Kansas, which is Topeka. And she said, well, I'll take off from work and I'll take you. So when I got there, my family member that told me that she couldn't take me was there.
Wow. What was she there for?
Huh?
What was she there for?
I don't know.
Okay. Here we go. Do any of your family have military background? I believe I asked you this before.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and the answer was yes. Okay, note that, family. Okay, continue with the story, Sister Javette. Excuse me.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm freaked out. She's there, and I'm looking like, but you couldn't take me, but you're here, you know. And the whole time that everything's going on in the courtroom, I can't go in the courtroom. They tell me to stand outside the courtroom.
Okay.
My cousin who gave me a ride, she was in the courtroom.
What?
Yeah, she went in there, but I couldn't go in there.
Wow.
And I mean, the door is closed. Like, when they open, you would know they opened. So I couldn't hear anything. This is a state building. It's solid.
Okay.
So I'm standing out in the hallway by myself.
Wow.
So finally something takes place where my family member that couldn't take me came out, and an alleged lawyer that they got that didn't do anything for me. And she told them, she was like, you didn't do anything. I paid you. And I was like, when I'm looking at them, I was like, this looks like it's the price. This don't even look real. Like, why is she here? And why is she talking to him in front of me? And why can't I go in? Everything was a secret. All of a sudden, I needed to know this part, that she paid him, and he didn't do his job. And he says, well, if you want me to, I can give you your money back. She says, no, keep it. It's blood money.
Whoa. And now these weird family members who don't support you were able to go in the courtroom. They're talking, and they come out, and you don't know what the blip is going on still.
I still don't know until this day what happened. All I know is at the end, they let me come in. There's 12 judges with white wigs on in a row. That's how it looks, you know.
Yeah.
And they're sitting, and 12 times they hit the gavel. Do you know what you did? And they're telling him. They make him say 12 times. It was like a ritual.
Wow.
12 times he had to say, yes, I'm guilty, yes, I'm guilty, yes. 12 times the judge would hit a gavel, and they would scorn him, verbally scorn him for abuse of power. Then the next one would do it, the next one would do it. And that's all I saw, and that's all that was said.
Okay. And then after that, what happened?
Well,
after that freaky thing that just happened, what happens now?
That was the end of it. It was like, I thought that he had, what was told to me is that he violated me and that he was going to be disbarred.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's right. He was disbarred.
No, but he's not disbarred. He was not disbarred.
Okay.
I have friends that were have been put into incarceration shortly after my thing, you know. So he was not disbarred. He's still practicing. He was a lawyer, which was conflict of interest for one of my children who was acting out. It's like I got disrespected from family members so bad that my children felt that it was okay to disrespect.
Okay.
So I had one daughter that tried to say that I was abusing her. This is the one who was responsible for the obituary at the oldest son's funeral. She put me that I was dead.
Right. I remember you telling me, okay, you weren't on the obituary because it said you were dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I wasn't living. He
right.
survived to his step mother, and her. She was the only sister, and she didn't mention any of his living siblings or me.
Okay. Vicious.
Yeah, that's his anger on her behalf.
Right.
But,
vicious.
Yeah, very vicious. She got upset because I asked her for some money when I was stranded. Come to find out, I was just talking to my daughter the other day. She said, she's mad at you because you asked her for some money. I said, yeah, when I was stranded in California, and I just needed to borrow it because our money was just sitting. I didn't have any access to it. It was just sitting there, you know. They managed to cut my money completely off.
Right, they cut your funds and everything.
Yeah, like, I mean,
And
my
so
son
they
just
claimed
went
you,
to the,
they declared you mentally unfit and eventually started taking things away from you, including your driver's license, closing your account, and things like that.
right.
So are
But
your family in charge of you, like a as far like a citizen, like are they in charge of you
I
legally?
don't think so.
Because I'm trying to figure out what is the only reason why I can even think of them even being in the courtroom without you is if they're declared your guardians in some way, because it doesn't make any sense, you know. And if they are, why are they treating you so elusively anyway and not explaining this ish to you?
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't understand. I just, some things I just don't know. I'm foolish. I have questions, but nobody's answering.
Well, that's
So
part of the life of the
family
target.
member.
That's
That
part of the
particular
life of
family.
being a targeted individual is having a lot of the unanswered questions, things lingering.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And I mean, my guardian was my guardian. Um, she was high up in this state. She was so high that when she passed away, the governor was there at her funeral at that time. So,
Because I'm trying to figure out how you caught that judge's eye in the first doggone place where he wanted you in his presence in the courtroom, and then from rejecting him, it must have struck his ego in a particular way to the point where he wants to inflict more power over you, using his ego to incarcerate you for 3 years. And, you were helping your daughter, and then you have the grandson. It's just, for me, knowing what I know about our bloodline, and what they're doing, like, a lot of times people don't even know that, their genetic makeup, you can see through doing astrology charts and other readings, that person is special and has certain abilities and traits. And if you can block them off before they get a chance to accentuate them, then you're playing the art of war. So I'm trying to figure out, you had a really cool guardian. The guardian was close to them as far as their network, friend to the governor. You grow up, you eventually end up in the sight of this judge. You don't know why. You have not only a mental health background, which should exempt you from duty of that kind, but you have 2 young children, and you tell him. And you also tell him you have medical stuff eventually, and he still doesn't listen.
No, he doesn't listen.
He wants you in his presence, and for some reason.
I don't.
And then when you do,
I think because I told you I was dating this white guy at that time, and one time we went to pick that check up, and we didn't make it, so he told me to bring it back. But when we went to take it back, I said, well, where do I take this? And he's walking, and he says, don't talk to me.
the judge?
I said, well, who can I talk to that can talk to you, since I can't talk to your motherfucking ass?
The judge said that?
Yeah.
He liked Javette. I think the guy liked you.
Huh?
I think the guy might have liked you, and you bruised his ego because he was setting something up.
Listen, let me explain this. The white guy that I was dating was married.
Was
Come
what?
to find out, I did research. I dug and I dug.
He was what?
Still married.
Oh.
He was married. Listen, close. He was married. And Salina, Kansas is supposed to be the capital for the good old boys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them there, and they withhold their stuff there in Kansas.
Marriage is sacred. It's part of the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Salina, Kansas is where the white guy that I was dating, wife was from, and so was the judge. The judge knew the wife. And yeah. Just so happened.
Here we go. The judge knew the wife, and you didn't know the guy was married, and now you're in this judge's presence somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, and now he wants to toss you away for 3 years. Totally out of line.
Well, a lot of it, I think he didn't know quite who I was. Like I said, he thought I was probably some military wife got left behind. Um, they found out I was from California, so I wasn't from here, but I've been here most of my life.
Mhm.
Back and forth. You know? Yeah.
So they didn't know you was going to take that one piece of paper and you was going to write your way out of that situation and turn what are you doing into power, into what?
And they didn't know who my guardian was either. When they found out who my guardian was, it became what it was.
Okay. They had to do something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different. Because, like I said, my guardian held a pretty high position here in this state at that point. For a while. She worked for this state till she retired.
Is she still living?
No.
Okay.
She passed away too, which when I just got stopped, that brings me back to when I got stopped this month for driving, speeding, and I got a broken arm, so I'm like, how am I speeding and I can't even hold the steering wheel? Are you serious? I got allegedly stopped for speeding, which was a bunch of crap. I was not speeding. They were looking for me. They wanted me to go to jail for this driving without a license, suspended. And luckily, the officer, at first he was trying to snatch me out of the car and handcuff me to the back. Mind you, I have a broken arm, and it's broken in 3 places, okay? I have a whole cast on my arm. I said, oh, no, you're not getting ready to do that. And I said, I am cooperating with you. I am old. I'm an old woman, and I'm not getting ready to run from you. You know what I'm saying? I said, give me some time to call somebody so they can come get my vehicle. He said, well, you got to go to jail. I said, okay, you know. So he's like, get out the car. I need to get out the car right now. I said, wait a minute. No, let me call someone. I said, you just going to let my car sit here? And I said, don't do that. So I said, don't put your hands on me. Don't do that. I said, I called somebody, got somebody to come get my car. Then he realized that I had the cast on my arm. And so we go to talk. And he takes me in, you know, to get his paperwork done so he can, you know, track me down for speeding or whatever. And he does listen. He said he just bought a bigger pair of cuffs. And he said, you're right. You know, you're cooperating. He says, I'm not going to do that to you. Because he was trying to force these little tiny handcuffs around a cast. But so when we went in, after he realized he had those bigger pair, he put those on me. But we went into where his district was. This is around, this place has a school here, Kansas State University. So there was a university patrol. And he takes me to, he wasn't actually the city patrol, he was the university patrol. So we went to his station and put in all his paperwork and everything. And then he goes in to pull up some of my traffic disputes. And he said, I talked to my sergeant, and then he said, we see here where when I went to bury my mother in Los Angeles, where they were right behind me, and the sun was shining, and they said I ran a red light. They said, you didn't see that red light? And I said, no. I said, that light is green. And they said, no, it wasn't. It was red. And they pulled me. They were sitting right behind me. They pulled me over. And so he reminded me that his sergeant had stopped me for a red light. Why was that there on my traffic? And the time when I hit highway patrolman, which I learned recently that it was their fault because I hit him in the middle of his car where he couldn't even get out of the door. Why wasn't that on there? That disappeared. I was like, well, if all my traffic things are there, where's that one at? He just kind of looked at me and shrugged his shoulders.
So your files are messed up as well.
Huh?
Your files are messed up. Your files are messed up as well.
Oh yeah, my files are all tampered with.
Okay, so that has to be an inside. I'm just going to point out to the audience that's an inside thing when you have government files and state files, computerized files that are tampered with and messed up. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I want to add that in my research, in order to file a mandate for someone to become a targeted individual and be a part of the gang stalking and stuff, it goes through a judge. The judges know, because they have to have the citizens initiate it. The street performances and stuff like that, and part of the surveillance or whatever agreement they have, it goes through the judge.
Yeah. And that's who I have the problem with. And for a while I thought, because in '95, and I brought up the Judge Platt versus Javette Campbell thing.
Mm-hmm.
At that same time, my mother was alive in Los Angeles still, and she called me, and my brother. This part right here kind of rings a bell to me, Regina. We both were on the news. I was on the news for the violation with the judge. My baby brother was on the news next to O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown, because his wife came up dead, just like she was the first one in Los Angeles after Nicole.
Your brother's wife?
My brother's wife, yes. And
wow.
they did my brother. They had a jury, and they hung my brother. He didn't think he needed a lawyer because there was no evidence that he did it. They had no fingerprints. There were fingerprints on the car. He worked for Amtrak, the train station. Amtrak went and said at the time of her death he was at work.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And the jury hung my brother. To this day, he is still in jail.
Why is your family?
His wife.
Wow. So you and your brother have been derailed.
We've been, and my mother called me. My mother was Native, and she told me.
She's Native American?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go with the bloodline, the indigenous bloodline I was talking about.
Indigenous bloodline.
Okay.
Yeah. She called me when I was going through what I was going through. I got out of jail, but my brother didn't. He's still in jail. And she said, I'm having a dream. I said, what, Mom? What's wrong? She said, I see stars around you. She said, you and your brother, you're my better children. You guys have graduated from high school. You guys are, done college, kept jobs. You take care of my grandbabies. You're my better kids. The other ones was rowdy,
The heart. Your heart is different.
Yeah. And she said, not you two. She said, I dream stars around you. Somebody's doing witchcraft.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And I wanted to also mention at this time, hasn't your leg been hurt too before? Your knee or your leg? It's your leg and your arm that keeps getting hurt, right?
Yeah.
All right.
My knees right now, I have a lot of water on them. They're swollen.
So I know my sister Javette is constantly having problems with her knees. She keeps breaking the same injury with her arm. It's always the same spaces that keeps having issues. And I know I've had the same kind of thing where my ankles, my ankles get attacked, and I've literally had to seal them, pay attention to it, and put that energy there and seal them, because the ancestral energy and the spiritual energies have let me know that there is witchcraft, where somebody is able to break the auric field around your body somehow, and do some certain things. I'm getting closer to exactly how, and they're able to penetrate that through thought. But energy is like, how if fire fights fire?
Right.
And once you know what the etheric energies, once you know it's there, you can put a block on it as an awareness that that's actually happening, as an acknowledgement. And I haven't sprained my ankle since, although I came close a couple of times. Really weird, like I'm walking or I'm just standing there, and all of a sudden my ankle will just be boop, and I'll go, okay, you're trying to do it again. Nope. So also witchcraft is a part of the gang stalking program. Through my research, witchcraft is a part of the gang stalking program, and has gone through the Vatican. Okay, so we're dealing with sorcery. It's a fact. So I'm just making the connections and the
And
lifestyles.
it's kind of strange that you would say that because, like, after my daughter had the baby, I got pulled over for driving without a license, and the police officer came back, and I'm acting like, what's wrong? And he says, oh, something from 95. They always see 95 every time they pull me over, and we just laughed about it, and my daughter was like,
That's a
okay,
pin.
well,
It's 5. That's a pin. It's 5. It's a pin. It's a pentagram. 5. 95 is 5.
oh,
They keep saying 5. It's almost like a handshake. You know what I'm saying?
okay,
Uh-huh.
yeah. They keep saying it, yeah, all the time. The police, they keep. So I had one lawyer look at it, and she couldn't find anything. So they just fined me, and I noticed when I went to court, he didn't say Javette stop driving. He just said, "Oh, we're going to give you a lawyer," and I said not guilty because I told him I said I wasn't. To my knowledge, I don't know what to do. Nobody's telling me what to do. If I go to motor vehicle, they say we didn't suspend your license.
Yeah, but your area that you're in, the locals that are a part of the gang stalking program seem to have you pinned down into this Truman show. So everything you do is according to what they want, outside of the rights and the things that you should have. So you can't really travel. You're in this town. Their computers for the state or whatever you're in is saying one thing, and then when you go to the government and you say, look up my stuff, it's saying something else, and they're not being able to interfere and get past these people in the state, which is all a part of the same system through that judge and the legal system and stuff you got there.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones. We are not the only ones. And that's the point that I want to make with raising this awareness. Make for people to make their connections and look at the similarities,
Yeah, everything is like, like this is it's just a big circle, like you said. I just keep coming back around to the same thing, and my mom, when she told me somebody was doing witchcraft on me, at that time I thought she was, Mom, you're tripping, you know what I'm saying? But now I see exactly what she meant. I see it.
That's why I'm trying to educate my daughters now, Javette, because it looks like, it doesn't stop at just you. They start targeting other people around you and ish, and it's horrible watching what they do, and there's nothing, you feel powerless, but I just grab hold of my spirituality in the Most High because I know it's a spiritual war. Like your grandmother said, I see stars all around you, and I see people doing witchcraft. You're my better children. She told you, And so this is a spiritual war, and I'm glad to have you by my side. I want to say much love to you and yours, and thank you for being on the show with me and helping me to inform people.
Good. It's good to know that I'm able to touch down and tell, my story and things that are going on with me. And I would be, enlightened to hear, other people speak on things that they have to go through too. It's like you said, the Truman Show, and it's freaky, but I'm still standing.
Yes, you are.
Also, even though they feel that they're attacking me and I'm weak, I still keep soaring. I still keep flying. They still can't penetrate through this. So I want us to stay strong, sister.
Yes, love.
And to stay, keep sustaining. I laugh. It's funny.
To a certain extent, yes, it is. It is. How they go through so much extent just to hold down your spirit,
Yep.
But it also gives testimony, biblical testimony as to the times that we're in and who we are.
That's right. Yeah.
So I want to say thank you again.
I look at some people my brother really thought he was going to get out of that, and we were telling him, no, get a lawyer, And they played it dirty in the courtroom. They played it dirty. They had my mom in tears, because she struggled raising us. There's a lot of us, you know what I'm saying? So she struggled, and they had my mom in tears, and I was just like, oh my goodness,
I was saying how some of us live and die and don't realize this other system that's going on. that's got a rope around us, got chains on us that we don't even see it, that we've been interfered with. It's almost like I'm seeing your mother. She could see it, but she couldn't. I'm seeing like your mom. She could see it, but she couldn't really define it in the way that we can now that you can see it.
Exactly.
And that's beautiful.
And, just telling me then that she saw stars around me, that was just like stars, I was like, Mom,
people pentagrams, people putting pins on you. Those are the things that I see when they show me pictures of sorcerers and witches and all kinds of stuff that I can see. Especially when they when they really get into it, because they enjoy it too much, and the frequency and vibration goes out of there. You ever walk into a room and you ever in a room and then someone else walks in and you feel the whole frequency change for better or worse? Yes,
exactly.
Okay.
A friend of mine was talking about getting her eyebrows tattooed, and I went to the tattoo parlor and she looked up, who was here, and I said, don't go there, and she said, why not? I said, I said, the energy is not right. Don't go there.
Okay,
so your eyebrows.
You're plugged in. You're still plugged in. Many of us are not plugged in anymore. Never, nobody taught them how. They don't want to do it. They're just incapable. And some of us are just made that way where even if we tried, we couldn't not be plugged in. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And it's just our genetic makeup, and those are the ones of us who can sense and see what they're doing. Like, our ancestors use us as vehicles to give messages and stuff. Like, hey, they're doing this. Tell everybody. And I'm like, but they're not plugged in. And they're like, you're going to have to figure it out, because that's what you're here for. They inform people of the nonsense.
When you tell people, they're looking at you like I was looking at my mom,
Yes.
Now I get it.
Yes.
Now I get it, but she never really, schooled me. She had to hide that she was Native. She had to say she was black. She had to hide it.
That's part of the Moorish history and stuff, where they changed our identities from indigenous people.
It's like, when you got to asking her, because we got all our kids got this like hair, and we're looking at our hair like, why is our hair like this? You know what I'm saying? And black people, they know, they see, they're like, oh, why is your hair like
and
this?
Now with the COVID, we're fast forward. I was gonna end this, and we didn't do the COVID. Fast forward to after the genetics. Fast forward to the COVID-19 mandates where you are. What's going on right now with the mandates?
Well, where I got to watching that clip that I sent yesterday, right? I'm looking at now, somebody did that to me some time ago, and it just now dawned on me. And they were telling me, you need to get out of there. You need to get out of Kansas. You need to go. I was like, where am I going? How am I going to get there?
I'll be thinking the same thing.
Huh?
I'll be thinking the exact same thing from where I am. But continue.
Yeah. How you can, you can run, but you can't hide.
Right.
I always felt like that. Because anywhere I go, it's going to be there.
Yep.
It's like when I ended up in L.A. and I was burying my mom, I ended up stuck in a motel that somebody else paid for, and then all of a sudden, Rodney King comes up dead. He's floating in his swimming pool. Rodney King, he can surf. He was an ocean boy.
Oh.
He was an OP guy.
Wow.
Ocean Pacific. He surfed. How did he drown? I don't get it.
Rodney King, who is that? Can't we all just get along?
Rodney King was the one that they have that riot.
Yeah, can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
Oh.
Symbols. And I felt like, oh yeah, that was for me.
Right, the triggering of the symbols through the subliminals.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so back to where you are right now. They got some mandates on the Morgellons where they're demanding.
You can't move. You can't leave. Like, I can't go to Colorado or any of the surrounding states, and they can't come here unless you have proof that you have taken the shot.
Oklahoma has mandatory vaccinations where you can't, there's a no move policy unless you can prove you've been vaccinated. You can't go and come. You ain't leaving, and you ain't going in.
My oldest son was living there also. That's where he died at, in Oklahoma.
Okay, so she's already told you about previous issues she's had in certain places, and this is one of them. So look at the mandates and the policies that are being distributed by the lawmakers and people. We've already seen what this. We've already seen what this judge was allowed to do, and had to happen to intervene for her not to do 3 years in jail because she was dating a married man she didn't even know the dude was married. And these people do this they hide. Nobody told her, stop dating that married man. We don't like it. Can you chill? No. They went into back doors and did ego tripping, and, it looked like a delicious thing to watch her twitch while whoever got off because they felt like she did a sin or she did something wrong. And in the meantime, now that she's pissed this judge off, she's now part of a gang stalking program. So it continues. She's being punished for speaking up for herself, So anyway, I have some things going on in the house now that I've been, delaying addressing for a minute because this is vitally important. But
okay, well, sister, we had a nice long talk. How long have we been?
1 hour and almost 50 minutes, 46 minutes, and it was wonderful. Beautiful. Yes.
But that's how it goes. It and I still miss some things. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's a circle. It's a circle. Like, here's another part. When I went to go, my children ended up on one end of the state. One ended up on the east. The other one ended up on the west when I was incarcerated for those couple of months and trying to get that knot out. And this part, I had a layover where I had to change planes, and I was on the escalator, the kind that's flat, that doesn't go upstairs, downstairs, it just moves you. It's like a people mover.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going one direction, and I look up, and who's going the other direction? The judge.
What? That happens where you see weird, one probably wanted you to see him.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they do. Their secret society stuff is just off the chain right now. All this extracurricular weird stuff going on. And it's going to get wilder. So, just put your seatbelt on. That's right. Put your big girl panties on, too.
Yeah.
Stay dry. Because that's all we can do right now. And I love you, and I'm thanking you for sharing this with us. I know that it's difficult. You did a really good job, sis. And you're going to come back on because I'm going to do those readings when I have the time. I'll have those readings. We can share your readings with the family from the charts that I'm going to do eventually on you, your daughter, and the grandbaby.
I'm excited to get this one from you because I've had other people do things too, and sister, all of them are cohesively aligned. There's slight differences in some, but pretty much they're all the same.
So you already know how special y'all are.
Yeah.
I already see it. I just wanted to share that information and get like a printout, something tangible. I can't explain what I see in the spiritual realms, more like colors and fuzzy shapes, but I know y'all is very special, and I'm gonna manifest that and show it through your names and your birth dates with those information through human design. That's what I'm gonna use, okay? And some other stuff that I have, some special charts that I made for myself regarding the spiritual energies and demonic energies around, certain individuals and stuff. So I'm gonna get your, your regular information, your time of birth, name, and then I'll do your charts, and then we'll talk again with the family.
Let me say this real quick, and we probably should end this.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps going. It just keeps going.
It's okay. It's good energy. Good energy.
It keeps going. I have been getting a lot of hands holding me from other countries. They're saying, get out, come here, because there is not where you need to be. You need to be out. I need to be out of this area to completely do what I'm supposed to do. It's not just here, and I find that interesting.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
the thing that's stopping me is they messed my birth certificate up.
Oh no, Javette. You can't travel.
Huh?
You can't get a you can't get a
No.
whatchamacallit.
They
All
messed
right.
it up. And I wonder why my guardian didn't fix it. My guardian started to fix it when my daughter that's with me, it was kind of funny, I seen that day. She started to fix it on her birthday. And she stopped.
Something else may be going on that you don't know yet. But it doesn't mean that you won't find out and get some resolution.
Yes. Like I said, I'm excited to do this with you. And you excite me. You have good energy, and the minute I met you, I just felt, hey, something about her. So I'm excited to find out. I want to give you these numbers, and I want you to do that for me. That would be super, super special.
Great. And then we'll do part 2, and we'll talk about some of the other parts that you left out at that time.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like I said, it's a lot.
It's okay. It's a lifetime. We're just informing them. All they need to do is hear your story and see that something is funny. Something is amiss. Okay?
Yeah.
And just do their research, and we have done our job. We've raised the awareness. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
This
is Siren Buddha Medicine and Regina's Rabbit Hole. Now you know why. It's at 3:33. We ending this, sis.
All right.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.